Thank you, Chancellor McCreath, President Stoichev, and Elder Duquette for your many contributions to our great institution, the University of Saskatchewan. And thank you, Dean Phillipson, for your kind and overly generous introduction. Justice Abella is an outstanding jurist and a very special person. Greetings to everyone. My heartfelt congratulations to you, my now fellow alumni and fellow class of 2021. I am very grateful and proud to be the recipient of an honorary degree today, and it is extra special for me to join you in celebrating your graduation. Your presence today is testimony to your resilience in overcoming unique challenges. The strength of that resilience will serve you for the rest of your lives. Today, you receive your reward, and you can now leave all of the negative aspects of those challenges behind you. I will talk to you briefly. I assure you it will be brief, if I want to have friends, about 3 topics: our university, your careers, and public service. Great institutions only become great because of their people. You have left an honorable legacy to our University of Saskatchewan. You also must have many positive feelings for all those who worked with you in achieving their shared goal of your success. Your fellow students, your deans, professors, support staff, the administration, and of course the people in your personal lives referred to by President Stoichev. I congratulate all of them as well for their roles in your success. The role of a dean is especially important in facing these challenges. Deans are at the hub of all of those operating components of a professional faculty. This shared success was also an incredible challenge for Deans Willoughby and Phillipson, who also have great pride and respect for your achievements as graduates. And thank you, Dean Phillipson, for also mentioning my hometown of Kamsack. Of course, it's not a big city like Dean Willoughby's Melfort, but I believe that the nurture of all of our hometowns can contribute to our development as people. But Dean Phillipson, you must have missed the latest polls that clearly rank former law dean Brent Cotter as the most famous lawyer from Kamsack. Finally, I mentioned Sam Lehman, also of Kamsack, who served as Dean of our College of Commerce from 1969 to 1976. I would also, and especially, like to pay tribute to my own law dean, the great Canadian and Humboldt boy, the Honorable Otto Lang. Otto was appointed dean in 1962 at the record-setting age of only 28 years. Dean Lang immediately began building the strength and stature of our law school through a highly successful campaign of recruiting professors. Many of them became stars in different fields and served as deans of other law schools, as well as our own in public service. I am grateful to Otto Lang as a dean, as a mentor, and as a friend. I now move on to your own careers, starting with some background. In our Canadian democracy under the rule of law, the 2 most important institutions are Parliament and our courts. Both of these are built on adversary foundations, which means that the people involved are in confrontation with each other and become either winners or losers. Adversary trials can be very hard on parties, and our legal system is increasingly adopting alternative approaches for resolving disputes to reduce the necessity of ultimate battles in court trials. The adversary system in politics can also generate negative consequences. Democracies are complex and they can become messy. Governing is much easier if you just remain in control as a dictator instead of having to be accountable to voters. In a democracy, one of the most crucial elements is the role of media to inform the electorate and to provide reliable information. The first enemy of a dictator is often a free press. But the recent United States elections have demonstrated how even with a free press, democracy can be threatened by the deliberate spreading of false information. We witnessed the ugly consequences of violent and criminal attacks on Capitol Hill in Washington by citizens. In effect, the traditional adversary system escalated into warfare. I mention all of this because your careers will be highly dependent on human relationships. And adversary relationships can increase when opposing goals and opinions clash. But negative adversary relationships can also be avoided. Dean Phillipson mentioned my role as Special Advisor on Judicial Affairs to the Minister of Justice of Canada. My main responsibility was to recommend the names of lawyers to be considered for appointment to judicial vacancies in the superior courts throughout Canada. This in turn required consultations with provincial attorneys general and chief justices, as well as other judges and leaders of the bar. These consultations were always in private and always under strict confidentiality to ensure frank opinions. At first, I was surprised that when assessing lawyers, these people of the highest legal stature in Canada never talked about legal brilliance, about strong skills in questioning witnesses and cross-examination, or in winning big cases. Instead, they always assessed lawyers entirely on the basis of human qualities: fairness, common sense, diligence, honesty, decency. I don't have much experience in business, but I have no doubt that these human qualities are as important in conducting business as they are in practicing law. These qualities are much less likely to create adversary confrontations. They are much more likely to provide opportunities to establish ongoing personal relationships that are valuable to our careers. Applying these human qualities to professional relationships can only be done individually in specific dealings with other people. But they can contribute to the overarching reality of our own persona, or who we are as a person. Their impact grows incrementally over many years and over hundreds of personal interactions. But layer by layer, they ultimately form our reputation. And whether in business or in law or in other fields, our reputation can be the most important achievement of our career. I will close by speaking about three other great Canadians who today also became your fellow alumni: Ray Ratushny, Roy Romano, and Tom Malloy have all contributed extraordinarily to public service in Canada. All of them were superb at overcoming complex challenges by avoiding or reducing adversarial resistance while never compromising their own exemplary human qualities. Ray Ratushny was a Conservative Member of Parliament for 14 years and held many cabinet portfolios. He always had warm relationships with members of all parties. When he was appointed Governor General of Canada, the Prime Minister was criticized for political patronage, but members of all opposition parties immediately spoke out to praise Ray's professional and human qualities. And his service as Governor General became revered by many Canadians. Roy Romano served as the NDP Premier of Saskatchewan for 10 years. He played a leading role in the historic patriation of the Canadian Constitution and the adoption of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. He also served as Chancellor of our university. Tom Malloy was a devoted Liberal who helped reshape this country as the chief negotiator for Canada in negotiations with the Inuit. These led to the creation of the territory of Nunavut in 1999. He also led the negotiation of the historical Nisga'a Final Agreement in British Columbia. Tom also served as the Chancellor of our university before becoming Saskatchewan's Lieutenant Governor. I was privileged to know all three of these alumni personally. They all shared human qualities that I would describe as kind, gentle, without ego, good listeners, and a great sense of humor, each in his own way. And they also all had that common touch. They were good personal friends who respected their political differences as a conservative, an NDP, and a Liberal. Tom and Roy were especially strong personal friends who continued to talk politics with each other over many decades. I wish all of you satisfying careers and opportunities to engage in public service. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good life, and bon voyage.